welcome to the Prime People Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Konikow. Today, I have one of my favorite guests on. She is a repeat guest, the LinkedIn queen, Judy Fox herself. Judy, how are you doing today? Oh, I have no audio for some reason. I don't know if it's on my side.
It's on my side.
Perfect.
I was jamming out to your music.
I appreciate that. You just got off the LinkedIn Live. I was actually listening in on that segment. So you've been going all day long, I imagine.
Yes, Thursdays now tend to be my production day. Like, let's get knowledge out into the world. So
that's awesome. Well, anybody that wants to get to know Judy, we already shot an episode going over her bio, her profile. Suffice it to say, if I'm looking for a black belt in LinkedIn, she is the person that I call. I've known Judy, it feels like we're going on almost a decade, definitely probably 6 or 7 years now. But let's get right into it. I mean, LinkedIn, one of the most powerful platforms I think I've seen. You've taught me some incredible hacks, but give me an update. Like, what's the landscape of LinkedIn in this day and age, and where are you finding success?
I am loving the 2022 LinkedIn updates because they are doubling down on creators. If you have a podcast, if you have a audio show, if you have books, courses, the creator and gig economy is thriving on LinkedIn and they want it to thrive. So that is really, really powerful to see.
Yeah, super interesting, right? Because I mean, the one I was just listening to, there is something to be said about the structure of LinkedIn, how they're taking stuff like you referenced social audio and just giving it a little bit more of a refined platform, right? Like we were talking about Clubhouse, you were talking about it on that actual call. Clubhouse definitely has its place. It's kind of ephemeral. I think LinkedIn has that kind of strategic application of social audio. And I love what they're doing with it because 10 years ago, I mean, the direction of LinkedIn wasn't what it was today. What do you think the leadership team, what was their mindset shift, or what do you think changed in terms of how they were running it?
I think the pandemic changed things. And I think, Microsoft purchased LinkedIn. I can't remember the date of that purchase, but when you think about infusing LinkedIn with cash and money and the brands and listening to the bigger companies that are probably paying a enterprise level amount of money to be on that platform, either as they want to get visibility on hiring and hire the best talent. So what's driving the money on LinkedIn, if you think about it, starts to create a better platform for everyone because the businesses want more money. They want better candidates, better results for not just their recruiting, but for their sales divisions. And so it just ripples out from there. We all benefit from the big companies being tough on LinkedIn and wanting results.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So yeah, I think the approach of people on LinkedIn and different platforms, they've really developed a culture. I think that's why they've done so well recently is it has more of a vibe and a feel than it ever did before. It feels like it got through. It did feel a little bit like they were chasing the feed structure a couple years ago where like they were trying to be more like an Instagram or a Facebook. And I understand why, because people wanted to have a more engaged feed. But I do feel like the recent pivot that they did really helped them understand, okay, this is how people want to do these platforms and the user interface should be working this way. But they've stepped back into that formal, we are in the business space. We're just going to be the very best place for business conversations. So there's two audiences that watch this channel. If you're new to this channel, we have guests on like Judy and a lot of people in the real estate space, a lot of people in the media and entrepreneur space. So you are talking to a wide variety of people, but we'll use real estate agents as the avatar. Marketing and sales, marketing to drive leads, sales to convert sales applies to every industry on the planet. So effectively, just going back to square one, what would I be doing differently today, engaging on LinkedIn and trying to develop a cadence that I would do differently a couple of years ago?
I would say, first of all, we want to acknowledge what you just mentioned, which is with the idea of what do I even need to understand that LinkedIn has changed because it isn't about the news feed as much anymore. And you can actually bypass the news feed now with something called the bell feature and with LinkedIn newsletters. So whenever LinkedIn starts to give you access to be sending notifications to your followers, can you imagine every time you post, your followers get notified that you post instead of just trying to rely on the news feed delivering it to them?
Sure.
That's a whole different ball game and a whole different experience for anyone who is wanting to get visibility, add touch points, because touch points lead to evaluating you as the right business partner or the right real estate agent and keeping you top of mind. Notifications keep you top of mind versus just an algorithm that decides whether I should see you in my newsfeed or not. So that is what makes me beyond excited about LinkedIn more and more, that they're honoring it and they're starting to just recognize that if I want to see somebody, I can turn on their bell, I can turn on their newsletter, I can start getting emails that they just posted, and I'm getting way more experience because I remember the first time we talked,
Hmm.
we leveraged the power of strategically networking
Yeah.
with people. This gives you, from your perspective, from anyone listening, from what you want in life is to get more business, right? Like you want more connections and opportunities to the future business to fill the pipeline. You want people to turn on your bell. From the you want to go out and hustle or look for the strategic connecting that you want to go do, you make a smart strategic spreadsheet decision of who you need to go out and start surrounding yourself by and turn on their bells.
Super smart. So high level again, you could watch this in the last episode, but Judy gave me a wicked tactic. We took a little, literally Google spreadsheet, put some names of people that are in industries or people that I would love to work with, and then took their activity page link. So not their feed, like not their main profile, but their activity page link. And then I could batch open them and engage with them and see if, I can have conversations with these people. And it's curated a way better LinkedIn experience for me. And what you're telling me now is because of the bell feature, the notification feature, there's almost a baked in automation now. So I feel like LinkedIn took your idea and was like, okay, Judy, we understand. And now we're going to make it a thing. Did they tell you that when they called you?
Yeah, they called me up and told me that. I have actually, which is really a testament to LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And I do think Clubhouse made a lot of this possible. And I will credit that happening because what happened on Clubhouse in the early days is when these brands and companies and employees were getting on Clubhouse and were doing that listening and joining stages and even running
Sure.
rooms, some of them,
Yeah.
we forget how powerful that was to immediately break down a wall of not having access to these companies
Yeah.
and these potentially untouchable people that we just didn't know either. We didn't know who they were because they were just quiet inside the company doing their work.
Hmm.
Or there was kind of this sense of, I'm not trying to go out and be a content creator. I'm working for LinkedIn. I'm not trying to get big visibility. I'm working for this major real estate agent firm. And that's the main voice and the main person. I don't want to, put myself big out there because the main person or something, I guess I'm speaking that language. Hopefully I am, right?
It makes perfect sense. Like I spend a lot of time in YouTube rooms and I mean, we get to speak with people that understand the back end like nobody's business. You can never reach somebody at Facebook. And what you just explained, it's pretty cool that they would actually have people go in and listen and have conversations because normally they don't because they don't want to officially make a statement because literally if they sneeze, that gets interpreted by the world of whatever,
Or a
right? So
journalist puts it out into the
exactly.
world.
Yeah, and I understand the fears there too, but the dynamics, I think that's the biggest thing I've seen with LinkedIn, the shift recently, and why I wanted to get you back on this episode is it's again, it's one of those platforms that like per capita for the effort that you're putting into it, the returns are absolutely bananas. So another question for you, talking about the bell, how do I become bellable? How do I get people to turn on my bell?
To be bellable, you have to have a clear call to action to tell people to do it. People
Sure.
only really follow instructions. So, what I always say is if you're going to make a post, you get a chance. It's that jab, jab, right hook with Gary Vaynerchuk, that
Yeah.
concept. When you make a post on LinkedIn, if you look at any of my posts or you look at any kind of performing LinkedIn or expert, somebody who's doing really well on LinkedIn, you might look at their post to be like, did they have a call to action that says, like a PS, there's a bell feature, turn it on, go click on my profile, hover over my name and click on it. I'm actually working on a post right now on that language.
That's awesome.
So, and give them a reason. Don't just say, hit my bell to follow me. No, we don't care. Hit my bell to follow me for up to date real estate knowledge, breaking news in the real estate industry and um, something else. Give me three things
Sure.
of your knowledge or mortgage rates, news or something like that. I was starting to lose it at the end because I was like, I don't know, tell me what you want to talk about, or oh, get early access to properties, because people are very, ready to trigger and jump on a property like seconds after it's uploaded.
Well, without a doubt, like just like I did the intro of this video, I'm like, in this video, we're going to talk about LinkedIn. We're going to talk about this. You're going to get off market deals. It's not me being a cheesy salesman. I'm like, hey, this is what this session's going to be talking about. If you click on my bell or you watch my content, this is what I'm going to deliver on. The delivery is super important too, though. So once people click on your bell and they've decided to follow you, what is that next step? Like, how do you deliver on the promises that you're making your audience?
I would say you're delivering less on everyone talks about being consistent, and I'm gonna throw something out there. I think to myself, I'd rather come across somebody who is consistently knowledgeable, consistently, making the audience either feel something where they feel smarter for having consumed the knowledge. That is a feeling that you give your audience. You can deliver knowledge in a way that doesn't actually make anyone feel smarter because you may have just overwhelmed them. So, when you actually break down why content across all social media does really, really well, is it always is making the audience feel something. And that's why when I think about being consistent and that bell, when you give them that 3 reasons to follow your bell, deliver on that. You explained, hey, I will say something like get LinkedIn tips, get sales advice, or get leadership content. So think through your kind of 3 topics, and then that way you have some pillars to make sure your content kind of circles and delivers what you promised when they said ring the bell. But it's less about every Tuesday at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
It's not like that. It's okay, she's consistently on top of breaking news. I love that.
Yeah, you're really separating, I think, a value level of information from a gamification of the algorithms, right? Everybody wants to growth hack and they just want that. Like, I would way rather have 100 people following me that are all going to call me to list their house than 10,000 people that don't even live in my country or are bots engaging with my content for the optics or the vanity metrics of the other platforms. I think we're going through the disruption of the age of the celebrity agent, right? In our industry, anyways, where a lot of agents are just chasing, trying to be the Glenda Bakers of the world, not realizing that like that's where she is the consistency and like her knowledge, but it is the value of the knowledge over time that put her where she is, not just the virality of where she's at. And I do think you bring up an interesting point about the consistency and how delivering a really insightful piece of content, when it's appropriate, may be actually better than delivering a piece of content just for the sake of delivering a piece of content because it's Tuesday at 9 a.m., right?
But Glenda, shout out to Glenda because she
Yeah.
always makes me feel something when I watch her. Either I'm
Yes.
laughing along with her stories or I'm getting a little edgy with her because she's got some hot takes, and she's just got a vibe, right? And we can feel it, and you do too. Like when I've come across you on Clubhouse, I know that when I enter a room and a space with somebody, it doesn't have to be any of these official
Yeah.
spaces. We're in a space right now. I just know what to expect. I know you're going to be kind, you're going to be generous, you're going to support and be uplifting to your experience with me, and hopefully I'm the same way back. But that's the point. Your content on LinkedIn and across all social media, if you really needed to sit down, map that strategy out. Don't worry about what date and time it goes out into the world. Worry way more about how your audience feels. And like you just said, it's that 100 true fans. You'd rather really get it. Would everyone be happy right now if they had 100 likes and comments on every post? I mean, I
Yeah.
would.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
we
For
knew
sure.
every
Well,
post
picture 100 people in the room with you listening to what you have to say. That's a lot of people.
that is a lot of people, and
Yeah.
empower people to go out and continue to spread the message or continue to implement something that you just shared. So because it's not powerful for me and you just to chit chat and I just change Justin and your life. It's way more powerful to say, you know what? Did you hear one thing that you could put on a post-it note and take action on today?
Yeah. And again, the time we've known each other, you're a good example of that in effect, right? Where you're excited about the game, right? Like I truly think you look at LinkedIn just like Michael Jordan would look at the NBA or Tiger Woods looks at golf, or you just happen to find something you're passionate about. The more you share, the more you give, the more you have people like myself in rooms when you're not even around referencing who you are or sending people the link to our podcast for no direct benefit of my own, but because of the fact that this is what the world can be. I do think that there's two types of people that, spend time on LinkedIn, social media, and in business in general. One, it's everybody else's fault, but theirs why they're not succeeding. And, it's because they got shadow banned. That's why they're not
Oh,
gaining any
I cringe
traction.
when I see those.
Whatever. I laugh too because I'm just like, yeah, I've always been shadow banned, but there's other people that are just picking up the tools and seeing if they work for them. I think that's super critical. I do want to give a couple quick shout outs. I know Matt LaMarche is here. He's pretty pumped up about it. I see Jason Mitchell. He's been following you around on Clubhouse all day. Hi, Francois Letinier. He loves LinkedIn for real estate. It does have a lot of potential as well. And Kendrick Richardson, he's been following you around on LinkedIn. He's the one that
I
said that.
love it.
Yeah, she was just doing a panel on social audio, which we'll talk about in a minute. I just wanted to get your hot take on the future of LinkedIn, and then we'll go into the audio portion.
The future, I think because LinkedIn for creators, and I love that company page, that page on LinkedIn has now reached 800,000 followers. 800K people are
Wow.
claiming they are a creator or they want to pay attention to the creator economy.
Interesting.
Those are good numbers. And that's in less than a year where LinkedIn finally said we're doubling down. We're investing in the creators. We now are paying $15,000 to creators for a couple of months for them to post on LinkedIn and get active. $15,000. So they started with 100 and now they're starting to roll it out to more and more creators to pay them to be creators. I mean, we're seeing that on other platforms, but I think we forget that LinkedIn's saying, we want to be a part of this because this is huge. And for when you start seeing people like Mr. Beast join LinkedIn and start getting active and start posting, and these are indicators that the world is saying artists belong here. They're creators, people, video creators, podcasters. This is the knowledge and creator economy. Let's get it more visibility.
Yeah, I look at artists no different than I look at what I do. It's just a different methodology and a different craft and a different skill set. But
Yeah.
Matt asked a question. He said, is it true they're investing $1 billion on content creators and new platforms within LinkedIn? I think that references what you were
Yes.
saying, right?
Yeah, they just paid out $15,000 to 100 people at the beginning of the year. Like that was literally January 1st. And that's beyond all the things that they're doing. They've done way more beyond that. But just even if you look down to the micro level of human, they are paying creators and love it. It's having a creator fund. When you hear about having a creator fund for TikTok or for how YouTube pays their creators, LinkedIn saying, we want to pay creators too. And the other thing I'll say is, like I said, investing in creators not having to worry about the algorithm. If you love a creator, if you love their content, turn on that bell. You're going to get notified. You're going to start being able to be active in communities you truly want to be active in and not worry that LinkedIn's changing the algorithm. Because if you really like following Justin's advice and you've learned so much from him on LinkedIn or anywhere online, I mean, it is disappointing when you just don't see him anymore, correct? And you're saying,
Yeah.
how can I not? Yep, there's the bell.
Yeah, so I was pointing this out. So I pulled up her profile just to give people an example of how she did it. So again, just to go back to our previous episode, what people land on your profile is super important. Giving clarity around who you are and what you do. But here's what she was talking about: the ring the bell literally points you. It was already on, obviously, because it's you and we're friends. But this is where people are going to go do that, and I didn't even know that, right? And just having that, adding one person at a time, LinkedIn, I'm sure, is going to look at that and say, okay, once I know the type of people that like Judy's information, I'm going to serve it to more of those people. So I think they're being very insightful in terms of looking at their platform. It operates like YouTube, right? Is click-through rate, which is clicking on my bell. And then it's retention. Give me content that's going to keep me on your actual profile and watching your stuff and engaging. And then it is either searchability or discoverability. and discoverability is YouTube serving that person to you. So is there still a dynamic of that on LinkedIn where LinkedIn will serve you people that you don't know, kind of like TikTok's doing with the discoverability feature?
Yes. So I love that you just broke down that list because the searchability on LinkedIn is getting even better. If you wanted to, you could search for and filter your news feed to actually say, I only want to see Justin's posts, Judy's posts, and I don't know. I'm throwing Matt. Matt is
Sure.
here, and
Mad
anyone
Marsh.
else's names I'm not remembering, but Kevin. We just want to see all their posts. You can make that filter now on LinkedIn. Like, blows my mind, and I haven't even I probably didn't bring that up right away because I haven't even scratched the surface of doing that and that activity because it just blows my mind. I just want to see that. That's all I want to see. And I want to scroll a self-created news feed.
Yeah, it's Twitter, I know with all the Elon discussion and everything as well too, it's interesting because I always thought Twitter was a great place to just curate a feed of what you want to follow. My problem is I went too far down the wormhole of letting it get completely out of hand. And I'm like, I got to block off like 2 hours to unfollow everybody and start from scratch because it's mayhem on there. I think LinkedIn is still a place where you can do that effectively a little bit every single day by picking the people that you want in your ecosystem. So if we were going to do that, let's give people some more tactical advice because you're so good at that. If I was going to wake up every day, time block 30 minutes in my calendar, I'm going to jump on LinkedIn, how do I find the people that I should be engaging with? And what do I need to do on their profiles aside from clicking the bell to make them more kind of prolific in my ecosystem?
Yeah. So when we think back to our original conversation and why I still take that tactic of what I call a tipping point strategic networking, on LinkedIn, it's less about chasing each individual client down the street.
Okay.
Like, do you have time to talk about your car's home? You know what I mean? Like that, and that like energy of, do you have time to talk to me? Like, you're actually on LinkedIn a little different energy than you might be on Facebook or on Instagram. To actually position yourself, you want to be on stage. LinkedIn's offering you a public stage to be on a panel of experts. So the step number one, just from visually thinking, if you could create right now an event that you run yourself, that you're hoping is filled with your ideal client in the audience, who would you put on stage next to you? Would you put Glenda? Would you put Matt? Would you put anyone that's here right now listening? Justin, is Justin on stage? Hopefully I can be on stage with Justin someday. So like a physical stage, just picture a physical stage and then start thinking about networking with them on LinkedIn. Put yourself physically next to them. And then when you comment as a peer. You're saying, oh, great. Like, I want to add to this conversation. Or you're treating, like, when you get that microphone and somebody has asked the question, it's coming down to you. You might say, I really appreciate what Justin just shared, to this whole audience that's full of my ideal client. And I have a microphone right here, but I'm acting like I need one. But do you see it now? Do you see LinkedIn as less, let me hustle for every DM and every conversation and let me go hustle? Instead, let me create a live networking event that I get to maintain an amazing panel of experts, and I just put myself on stage with them. You can become the person that asks the great panel questions. You're still on stage. You can become the person who's interacting with the audience and making the energy happen, like you're the hype person. That's the same person on LinkedIn. You can do that there too. So think through a live networking event, in-person event. I know we don't have that many that we can think back on the last year, but think through it. And then that's where you want to start with, who do you want to connect and network with?
Well, it's an interesting conversation. As you're talking, I'm thinking about what we're doing right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, again, we have history. We've talked about so many different ideas, and you're giving me a lot. But we're hosting a live event right now. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on the private practical and tactical group. YouTube is my main platform that I'm putting a lot of effort into because I have a strategy there and some things that I'm working on. Matt actually left YouTube and logged in on LinkedIn so that you could see that he's on the LinkedIn channel.
Yes.
Shout out to Matt. Question for you,
Matt, you're on stage. We're
That's
getting
awesome.
on stage together.
So if I'm doing this event, though, the way I do it normally is I use an app called StreamYard. It syndicates across the different platforms. I can see all the comments in one place. I can talk to everybody. Oh, StreamYard Duck. That's awesome.
I know.
When I do, and this is more of a selfish question, but when I schedule my event in StreamYard and I'm posting it onto my profile in LinkedIn, is that equal to me setting up a custom event, or should I be setting up a special event that is LinkedIn only, exclusive to LinkedIn? What would your dynamics be? Because I do these every week. I just don't know if my strategy is as dialed in as it should be.
I got to go put you in the hot seat.
Oh no, don't go to my profile.
I'm going to your profile.
You're fine.
And by the way, I mean, I love that we're on your banner. I have to take a picture right now. It looks really cool, right?
Yeah, that is.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I'll share my screen. Hold on a second, and I'll rip my own profile apart. So hold on 1 second. Yeah, I didn't even know it did that. I just learned something. So we're on our profile right now, right? How cool is that?
I wonder what my expressions are like now.
Yeah, and it's interesting because there's 5 people on LinkedIn. I didn't even realize that I see what the number is on my end for YouTube and Facebook, but I didn't see that that's on LinkedIn. That's pretty awesome.
This is so great. Oh, wait, now we're going to have a video in video when you go to, you know what I mean? Where you're going to share your screen. Okay. So let's put this post in the hot seat. See how we're like video in video and video.
Wait. Okay.
So yes, what the question, it did create a LinkedIn event. Is that what you were trying to ask?
Yeah, I guess so. Like, I didn't know if you had to go in and actually create specific events in LinkedIn, or if by using something like a StreamYard, it would automatically do that for you. I guess that was my question.
And I think StreamYard is automatically doing that. Do you have any scheduled that are coming up?
No, I honestly, like,
So
again,
I can't see that.
So you turned me into like a blue belt last time we talked, right? I'm working towards like my purple belt, and then I'll get my black belt in 10 years.
So I will say you're doing the right things. You are making a post. It's probably, I guess, coming out from StreamYard.
Sure.
And yeah, it looks good. And I would say the language of the post, you said join, which is perfect. But I think maybe because it's StreamYard, it maybe didn't give you access to tag me because I didn't see this post.
I probably didn't put your name in there. Or didn't
it
think
has
about
my
it.
name. It says Judy Fox in this episode.
Yeah.
But the reason why I didn't see this is because I didn't get a tag that I was going to be speaking. So yes, I would say take a little extra time to either add me as a speaker, which you can do. So once the event gets created on LinkedIn, edit and add the speaker, either tag them, or you can literally add them as a speaker. And when you add me as a speaker, it can reach my audience and your audience.
Yeah.
So you're missing out on 40K.
We're ending the show. We're starting again. I'm re-adding you. That's a huge miss though, right? Because one of the
that is huge. Imagine having a huge person with a really big reach with your ideal. This is again the panel experience.
Yep.
Asking my whole audience to come in and your whole audience to come in is hosting the event.
Yeah. And so that goes back to what we talked about earlier, right? Of like sharpening your tools, learning things, implementing things. Like, I'm not actually going to shut down the episode, but now I'm just learning something that makes me a little bit better. I'm going to implement that. And maybe next time, I've gone from 3,000 to 10,000 people on LinkedIn because, I followed a new sequence that exposes me to a new audience because I have guests on every single week that are people like yourself. And had I been doing that for the last 97 episodes, think of the audience stacking. I don't think that should be a negative thing though. I do think people, man, they're so hard on themselves. This is the last topic I want to talk about before the rapid fire round questions is I think people are so self-deprecating. They tell themselves so many negative things when it comes to, oh my gosh, I made a mistake. I might as well just give up. I look at it as an opportunity. Like, I should be excited that now I can try that thing that maybe I suck at to get a little bit better. So how do you help people that maybe have a hard time with implementing and trying things like this and not seeing immediate success, I guess?
The mental mindset thing I've had to do, and this is just me because I love backpacking and hiking, and I've already climbed Mount Rainier a couple times. And so I have that mental mindset of, I call it my next right rock theory, where I've literally had to cross glacial rivers in the Pacific Northwest. And when you're doing that, you're looking up to see all the way across a raging glacial stream that you have zero desire to fall into, because that actually could cause a major problem in the backcountry. But what you're doing is you're truly focusing on stepping solidly on the next right rock.
Yeah,
You
it's true.
can't worry about what's behind you and what was past, because it doesn't serve you and could actually cause you to lose balance and lose traction for your forward journey. And then you can't be too worried about all the rocks ahead, because if you mess up this one step, you're not making it to the
Yeah,
rest of the
you're never
rocks.
gonna get there anyway, so it doesn't matter,
So
right?
that always served me, because I'm a life experience person, and the fact that I've literally done that is something that I can always use in my head. So whatever, I don't know, whatever journey, there's so many things in life that you can create that analogy for, that you can emotionally feel. I feel like when you actually feel something, you can make a better mental impact on your mindset.
I love that. Yeah, and being self-aware of it. Well, you answered one of the rapid fire questions, which was, what have you done that I should do? And that would be hike Mount Rainier. Maybe I'll do that after my hip replacement.
That's pretty intense. Oh, goodness. I didn't
Yeah.
know you were getting a hip replacement.
Well, it is what it is.
There you
Yeah,
go.
it's a genetic thing. Now you know something about me that you didn't know before the episode. Two questions I always like to ask people before I let you go. I know you have a stacked day. I appreciate you making the time. Funny thing, you mentioned doing a event with me in person. I do have a plan one day of doing a super summit, and I just looked at my notes to make sure you were on the list, and you already were. So I will definitely call on you. Wait till you see the names on the list. You'll like it. But yeah, two questions I have for you. One, what's a book that you've read or a book that you were reading that you think everybody needs to read?
So is it okay to say when I haven't read yet, but I
Yeah.
bought it because I'm invested in reading it, and I've had a very legitimate person in my life say I have to read this, so it's Love My Business. Um, that's the name of the book. I really believe that, again, thinking through the experiences I've had in life, and if I even go back to the Mount Rainier journey, I climbed Mount Rainier twice. The first time was miserable because I just focused on getting to the top and I didn't love the journey.
Interesting.
And then that made the whole trip way more miserable. And the second time, I was in the moment. I was in the, how can I love it today? Is there anything I can do today that will help me love it? And I love that this book, even just the couple chapters I've read, have really changed my mind for how to think about my business and how to stay less, I don't know what to think, but overwhelmed by not being able
Sure.
to see the future. Nobody can see the future. Nobody could see this pandemic coming or all the things that are going to hit you in the future. Love your business today. Can you love it today? And what do you need to do to make it a little more lovable tomorrow? Which now sounds all like so super cute.
One thing you can actually do is what I do is I'll do a time audit. So I'll set a timer every 15 minutes, write down all the things I'm doing, and then I red light, green light them. Do I like this task or do I hate this task?
Mm.
And then at the end of the week, I'll just compile it all and be like, what can I actually delegate or offload that is a red light task so that you can love your job? Because you know me, have far too much fun for somebody that is in the business that I'm in, and I actually enjoy it. And I think that that's key. It's not always easy though. And I think I'm going to read that book just to make sure I have perspective.
Yeah.
Two more questions. One from Jason Mitchell. He was asking about, our live events are the best way to leverage this. How best can we maximize the opportunity on this platform?
I would say what gets done gets results.
Yeah.
If running a live of like a LinkedIn live, if that feels good to you and you're able to literally make it happen, then make it happen.
Mhm.
But if writing a text only post comes out of you so much easier, or filming a 1-minute video, what I always tell people, first start with what is your easiest, fastest way of producing any type of content. What comes naturally to you? If being on a Clubhouse stage comes naturally to you, you can actually leverage what you just said on a Clubhouse stage, turn it into a text post,
Yep.
and post it on LinkedIn. You have content oozing out of you if you even just walk out your door in the morning. It's just a matter of understanding that it's content and it can be posted on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So does
Super.
that support you? Because I don't want to tell people to do a LinkedIn live when they're miserable, and then we see it on live that it's hard and that it's not maybe the easiest thing that if again, work up to it. Get on somebody else's live if you've never done a live show. I've been on so many people's lives that maybe now I could run a live show experience, but man, shout out to any live streamer, Justin, for putting shows like this together and trying to wrangle people who are like 8 minutes late and all kinds of stuff.
Nothing
So,
but love. I was gonna say I do it because I don't want to do the editing, so it's easier to just hit live and you don't actually have to edit, right? That's key.
but you even used the word. You said it's easier,
Yeah, it is.
but
Jason,
it's not always easy to everyone. So that's
no.
why.
Well, I want to encourage Jason with what you just said, right? So, two, I want to reward the audience for being here. So, the people that are on the live channel, I always say, like, one of the best things you can do is come on LinkedIn, go out to a private Facebook group, go to YouTube, hit subscribe, hit notification, hit the bells on all platforms. Because now, Jason, because you were here, I'll invite you onto the Prime People podcast. I know Jason, really insightful dude, amazing story. Now you have the opportunity to come on live, Jason, meet my entire audience, tell your story, and I'll guide you through how to host a live event, and then we'll get into your story. So a little reward for Jason there too, and hopefully some encouragement.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
That I love that.
Yeah.
So
Well, people who show up, grow up. And last question, Judy, and then I'll let you go.
that's so good too. That needs to be a post. Have you ever made a post with that opening?
I will literally do it.
That is I hear post openings, and that's the opening to a post. It's the first line, and then the next line would be explain it.
So if you see my head going down in the episode or going like
Nope.
this, I'm writing
He's
notes
doing
and
notes.
making sure that I got everything. So that post will be up after. What are you learning right now? You're so good at LinkedIn. You have to be learning something that you're a novice or a white belt at. Is there anything that you're learning that's exciting you, or are you just zeroed in on LinkedIn right now?
I am probably still just zeroed in on LinkedIn, but I think what I'm learning is stretching myself out of the one-on-one coaching that I've really been leaning into. During the pandemic, I personally felt more invested in seeing the business results from a brand or a company or a small business. It was something that was serving my heart. It goes back to loving my business.
Sure.
And a lot of people say, oh, but you can't scale one-on-one. I've had an amazing 2 years only doing one-on-one, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I have absolutely loved it. However, I do see that I would like to stretch. And so I'm launching a course. And I think what I'm learning is the platforms. Like,
Sure.
how do you put that out? How do you record and think through as many questions that people could have? And of course, how do you offer support? And all those are questions that I think I'm reading more books about that topic. I'm studying more people and consuming their advice. So does that explain the learning?
It does. My brain always thinks of like connecting people, right? You need to meet Sean Cannell. So he runs the Think
I
Media team.
love
Oh yeah. Yeah.
that.
You've done Vid
Yeah.
Summit. You know all these people. I would actually reach out to Sean. So I'd send him a message telling me I had this combo because they actually have in VRA Academy an entire course on that section about doing that platform. I also think like just as a consumer, the one-on-one thing, I don't see any reason why Judy Fox Incorporated can't have that as a service offering. It doesn't necessarily need to be you, your processes and your brain map. Again, you may have a narrative that like, no, it's got to be me because I'm the one.
It
I still see
happens,
that.
doesn't it?
It does. I still see that as a pillar of your business, but I do think that that natural evolution is going to go to the next step. So shout out to your new journey. Everybody connect with Judy. She is a very good friend of mine. I don't vouch for people unless I know them, and I only hang with practitioners on this channel. So go follow Judy. And the last most important question, you already know it because you were here last time, but where can they go find you? Where can they connect with you? And you know, my platform is yours.
LinkedIn.
There you go. Go hit her bell. If all of you,
Yes.
millions of people that are going to see this can go to her profile, hit her bell, I would appreciate it. It would mean the world to me. Thank you as always,
I'm
Judy.
wearing this the whole time. I'm wearing my LinkedIn hat now.
I love it. Well, they're going to see you at the Super Summit. So we'll figure out the time for that and we'll go from there.
Let's make it happen.
Awesome. See you, Judy, on the next one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.